What's up, guys? It is your boy, the Supreme King of the Monsters, P-Man. And I am here to give my take, or better yet, my opinion, or better yet, my review of Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Now, full disclosure, I'm going to say this up front because there's a lot of noise and a lot of chatter going on for this movie. And everybody is open to their own opinion. You are fully open to say whatever you will in the comments below. Say what you want. But it's not going to deter me from my enjoyment, my time I had with my dad as we watched this huge, big explosion, beautiful, artistic looking movie that literally spoke to me as a Godzilla fan. And it literally did. And I say that as a Godzilla fan. I say that, and I'm not even going to sit here and try to, look, I'm just saying, I'm not finna nitpick. I'm not finna be picky about every little scene, every little nice little cut here and there. I'm not gonna talk about all of the monsters that probably should have been in the movie or why they made choices to do this and do that. All I'm gonna do for this particular video for you guys, because I'm gonna try to maybe do 3 parts to this, because there's the review part, then there's the spoiler part, which is a lot more funner to me from what I know, or maybe I might just include that in this video and might just do 2 parts. And then there's the second part, and that one's going to be more directed towards my anger, and it's not even for the film. It's more of all the criticism that the film is getting, and I'm not really liking it. It's not really jiving with me. It's not that it upsets me that people who really was rooting for this movie are now booing this movie or anything like that, which makes no sense, and how confusing everybody's opinions about the movie, or better yet, how the things that anger them don't seem to line up properly. Either there's something missing or there's not enough of something. I'll get into that in the next video, but let me just get into the review. So here you go, the review for Godzilla King of the Monsters. Now, there's no spoilers in this part, but there probably will be some towards the end of this review, and I'll let you guys know if you haven't already seen it. But I will tell you this: if you want to be part of the conversation, go watch the movie. If you want to be part of the G-Fan universe, or better yet, the Kaiju universe, go see this movie. Go check this movie out. You don't have to watch the 2014 movie. I would advise to go watch the 2014 movie and then watch Kong Skull Island. Watch both of those movies and then watch this movie. That's what I will recommend you guys do, so that way you can kind of get caught up with what goes on, because in this movie it kind of starts off with a lot of the previous stuff that happened in the 2014 movie. We're introduced to some human characters. Yes, human characters, because you kind of have to have human characters in a Godzilla film, whether you like it or not. So, that's just the way it is. So we are introduced to some of the actors that were going to be pretty much prominent throughout the film. I would like to name some of those, but I'll probably just kind of have pictures and stuff showing up on the screen somewhere for you guys to kind of know who's in the movie, who you need to be looking out for, and if any of these people you might know from other movies. But pretty much it's more of about the human characters is more of about a family that kind of split apart because of certain reasons, and most of it has to do to the kaiju or the giant monsters, or what they call in the movie the Titans, showing up everywhere. And the mother, she is completely delusional. She thinks that the best way for mankind or the earth itself to kind of do its thing, or to better yet, to bring balance to the world, as if these monsters were set free and let loose upon everywhere, which does conflict with like other people who are more inclined to maybe like keeping these monsters contained and keeping them at bay, and kind of letting Godzilla do his job as kind of being the alpha, which is a huge role in the entire movie, because Godzilla is all about being the king of the monsters, and he's the guy, he's the top billing dude. He, in wrestling, he's kind of the face of all of the giant monsters. And so, and that's not really a spoiler, because you can kind of see that in the trailer if you hadn't already seen it. But you know, then there's a lot of the monster craziness that goes on. Then King Ghidorah becomes a big deal, because King Ghidorah is pretty much one of the big heavy hitters in the Godzilla universe. But usually Godzilla, you know, kind of finds his way into kind of taking him down. But in this movie, Godzilla is kind of up against a wall, because King Ghidorah is way bigger than he is. And of course, with King Ghidorah not really having arms, it has 3 heads, which kind of act like arms. And the one cool thing about King Ghidorah in this movie, King Ghidorah was more of a character in this movie than I've ever seen him be, because King Ghidorah, like, its heads all kind of like act differently. Like, there's a goofy, like, one of the heads is really goofy and kind of acts like very not so innocent, but more ignorant. Like, it's willing to go in and inspect stuff, while the middle head is kind of like, you know, like, no, I'll chill out with all that. And then the other head is more kind of lazy and stuff like that. They all have personalities and stuff, and that's what I kind of like, because they were kind of interacting with each other, and they were like, you know, the middle head is pretty much the Mo. The left head, I think you could say, is Curly, and the other one's like Larry. It's kind of like the Three Stooges. But they all correlate with each other, and they have atomic energy, electricity shooting out of their mouths. And imagine them like 300 feet tall, so, and can fly. So that's kind of the way King Ghidorah is. Don't take that analogy and think that's what you're going to see. Actually, King Ghidorah is very intimidating in the movie. Like, its introduction is probably the best introduction of King Ghidorah I've ever seen. Like, that, it was like, it was scary. Like, literally, I've never seen King Ghidorah this terrifying to me. Like, real talk, just a little side thing. Like, I understand that in Godzilla films, a lot of people like the practical effects. They miss the rubber suits, they miss the wire strings and all that stuff. But to me, you know, as realistic as that, I put realistic in quotation marks, because let's be honest, you know, it's not as realistic as you think it is when you really look at it, especially looking at it now compared to what we got in technology now, you know, thinking back then, and looking at where technology is now. It looks hella way better, in my opinion. I don't care about all that crap. As long as it looks good, I'm okay with it. But then, you know, when you go back to and look at some of the other Godzilla films, it's real cheesy, it's super campy, and you obviously know none of this is realistic. If you're like, this is a guy in a rubber suit. So, looking at this movie, you can clearly see the scale of these monsters. Especially when you see King Ghidorah. I'm going to bring up King Ghidorah in this movie, because King Ghidorah really showed out, really shined. Another monster that kind of shined as well is Rodan. Rodan gets a real cool introduction, shows off some of its skills. It even goes toe-to-toe with King Ghidorah for a little while. And another monster that really showed up as well is Mothra. Mothra, spoiler alert, like, Mothra shows up at the very beginning of the movie, and it's a really cool introduction to Mothra, and it's beautiful. It's very beautiful, and it makes me like, it gave me goosebumps when I saw Mothra. I was like, oh, look at Mothra, like, in her little larva form. It's so is so adorable. You know what I'm saying? Like how does a giant worm look cute? Like, I don't know how they do that. But Mothra was dope. Like, Mothra was really dope. Mothra was a sick kaiju in this movie. She showed off that she proves that she pretty much proves that she is without a doubt the queen of the kaiju. And that is a title. That is a title that Mothra holds. And so if you don't know who Mothra is, she starts off as a larva and then she evolves into a butterfly and stuff like that. And there's a lot of movies about Mothra. They're pretty. Some of them are cool. Some of them are okay. But again, it goes into that more campy side of things and kind of loosely story-based stuff where it's more about the kids and stuff like that. So, speaking of kids, Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things is in this movie. She doesn't play a huge role as much as the trailers like to show her. She kind of is there. She does her parts. I think what it is with this movie, for me, with the human characters, a lot of people kind of got their moment. They were kind of trying to tell the story through everybody. Like, you know, the dad, he's kind of separated from everybody, and yet he knows everything about his wife, who works for Monarch. Excuse me, I pronounced that wrong. Monarch. She works for Monarch, which was reference from Kong Skull Island. And so she works for this secret organization, which everybody is calling now SHIELD in some way. See, the comparison to superhero movies to giant kaiju monsters it's pretty crazy, but whatever. But you can say that. I mean, if you wanna bring it up, like, think of Monarch like SHIELD, and they're kind of like they specialize in studying the giant monsters and kind of making sure that they don't go crazy and go rampaging. And a lot of them are kind of locked up away from everybody, and that's what Monarch kind of does. They kind of make sure that these monsters don't go rampaging and destroying stuff. But as of recently, they've kind of been doing that, and so the military is willing to get involved with it, and they're saying that we're going to take control of everything. We're going to make sure that we annihilate all these monsters. But Dr. Serizawa, aka Ken Watanabe, doesn't want that. And so he's trying to do everything he can to make sure that the military don't get their hands in it. Now, going back to Millie Bobby Brown's character, she kind of, like I said, she's kind of just there. She doesn't really have any like special powers like Yuki from Godzilla vs. Biollante. She doesn't have like psychic powers. A lot of people were suspecting she's going to have like Stranger Things powers. I kind of hate that everybody's kind of like, they see an actor that they've seen in TV shows and they think that character is going to like transfer over to the movies or whatever movie it may be. It's kind of like Bryan Cranston. Everybody thought he was going to do some Breaking Bad stuff in the 2014 Godzilla movie. Like it's gotta think of his name. Bryan Cranston. I mean, not Bryan Cranston. Walter White versus Godzilla. Like I've seen like posters and all sorts of artwork done by that, but then what you saw in 2014, you kind of know the gist of it if you haven't already seen it. But it's she doesn't have any special powers or anything. She's just kind of in the middle of it all, between this battle between her mom and her dad, and then there's a lot of other stuff. There's like a secret organization that Charles Dance is part of. He's like the villain of the movie, but he's kind of like doing stuff in the background, so we're not too sure what his company or his organization is actually doing. All we know is that they're kind of getting involved with the whole kaiju monster stuff, and we might get some more of that later down the road if everything all lines up correctly. If the movie and this movie and the next movie is a big success, we might see a lot more of like what this organization is actually doing, and hopefully we'll get some more giant monster stuff. Let me get to that point. The giant monsters rally, the giant monster battle royale, it's really good. Like, I enjoyed every time Godzilla showed up on screen. It was sick. Like, it was dope. It was like, I don't know what it is. The music, like, oh my god, the music, like, wow, dude. Like, they were able to remix a lot of the old school Godzilla tracks and make that work. Like his dun 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 dun, like it had a beat to it, and it was really, man, like I wanted to jump out of my seat and like go crazy, dude. Like that was sick. Like I got to get the track to all of the tracks on this movie because it was sick, dude. I loved it. Speaking of which, even one of the themes, like the Mothra theme was even crazy. Like Mothra, her theme was completely like, man, I don't know, man. It was basically the remix to the twins, the little twins that used to sing her song all the time to wake her up or to bring her back to life or whatever it was, and that was like the best thing ever. Like, man, I almost had a moment with that. And like I was like, what? They were doing the Mothra song? Like, oh, that was dope, dude. I loved it. Like, that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, other than Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. Like the first time they fight, they kind of scrap for a little bit. They kind of go head to head a little bit. They kind of like touched each other here and there. And King Ghidorah was like, you know what? I ain't about that today. I'm gonna get you at some point. But Godzilla ain't about that because King Ghidorah is pretty much the big alpha now. He's moving in on Godzilla's turf. And speaking of which, Godzilla, he's a straight gangster in this movie. Like every time he walks, like his shoulders are huge. Like he is jacked, son. Like Godzilla was a beast in this movie. Every time King Ghidorah like made a move or something like that, like Godzilla was just walking up on him, just like he had a Glock in his hand. Like I'm about to run up on this motherfucker, dude. It was crazy. Like I loved it. Like you can hear my enjoyment from my voice, from the way I'm trying to do my best to describe this movie. And this is coming off just a day after I've already seen it, and I'm still feeling the goosebumps, the chills down my spine. I feel that nostalgia of watching Godzilla movies again. Like this is so damn good, man. Like this is like top tier Godzilla movie for me, okay? Like it might not be for everybody else, okay? I'm just gonna say that. I know I've already said my disclaimer and stuff like that, but I'm just saying, to me, this goes in at least the top 5 Godzilla movies. Like I might just remove 2014 from its slot in my top 5 and insert King of the Monsters, because that movie is so damn good. Like it hit all the notes for me. It met my expectations, and I can't wait for Godzilla versus King Kong. That is exactly what the movie pretty much, majority of the time for the first half of it pretty much talks about Kong Skull Island. It talks about King Kong. They make sure they reference King Kong, not like in Marvel where they might reference somebody from the Netflix TV show, or maybe they might reference a superhero that doesn't exist just yet, or where they might reference the X-Men. No. In this movie, they straight up said Kong. They straight up said not King Kong, but they said Kong. So pretty much we're gonna get Godzilla versus King Kong, and I can't wait for that movie. I can't wait to see what kind of story they're gonna come up with for that, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot that happens at the end of this movie, and there's a lot of other monsters in this movie. Although I will say they didn't show too many monsters in this movie, as many as I thought they would, even though there's like 17 kaiju. I'm not going to give an exact number because I forgot how many was actually there, but there's only like so many in there, which I can understand. I would have loved to have seen the gallery of monsters, but it's okay. It's all good. Maybe they're saving them for later. I hope that they get a lot of the monsters that we already know from Godzilla's like roster of monsters, and all I can really say is I can't wait for the future of the Kaiju universe. I kind of want this to get up on its feet and start moving towards the city and start demolishing stuff. I love everything about the movie. The actors that played in it, they were real good. There was enough monster mashing. For me personally, I don't need 45 minutes of monsters just rubbing up against each other and tiring themselves out. It's like I don't need it. I don't really need it. I'm fine with what I got. I enjoyed what I got. And you know, this movie to me, it's straight up a 10 out of 10 on the scale of like everything. Like I enjoyed it, dog. I'm willing to go back to the movie theaters and go see that. Now that's my opinion. That's my opinion. That as a matter of fact, let's do this rating right here. If B-Man was to rate this from just a average, mild-mannered B-Man to the Supreme, I would give this a Supreme without a doubt. The 10 out of 10 golden stamp of approval. This is a Godzilla movie for any Godzilla fan, for anybody who just wants to see a giant monster movie. This is it. This is what you got. It's better, in my opinion, a little bit better than the 2014 movie. It gives you enough Godzilla. It gives you enough story here and there in the middle of it, and you're okay with it. If you're used to watching Godzilla movies, that's what I honestly just think. If you already are used to watching Godzilla movies or have seen series of Godzilla movies and know what you're getting into, like honestly, I don't know where the complaints are coming from. I don't know why anybody would be complaining about it, but I'm gonna obviously do a video about that very, very soon, probably right after this one. I'm gonna do some research. I'm gonna watch some other reviewers. I'm gonna listen to their complaints and all their rants and all their bitching and whining and all this stuff about the movie, and then I'm gonna come back, squash it, just like Godzilla does to all the cars that he did in this movie, all the buildings that he ran into in this movie. I'm gonna just squash them and call it a day. So until then, guys, please in the comment section below, tell me first off, tell me what you thought of the movie. Was it enough for you? Was it too much for you? Was it missing this and missing that? What was your score overall, and what do you want in the next Godzilla film? Tell me in the comment section below. The polls are open. The comment section is not filled, and it's completely it's all pandemonium. I'm allowing my fellow kaiju homies on YouTube, do as you will, do what you want. All right, this is a battle royale to see what is what, who is who. You know, just as you will. All right, I know this is a crazy review, and I'm kind of just going off of my emotions and kind of going off of what I think is a really good Godzilla film. I'll do more videos about Godzilla if you guys want them, or my opinions about the movie, anything. Just let me know in the comments below. Check out my other videos on my channel, and as always, guys, it is your boy, the Supreme B-Man, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Once again, I have to say it multiple times, otherwise you guys might forget, or you might not think I didn't say it. So, but until next time in the next movie review, I will catch you guys later. Peace.